Learn
Must
by
go
trial
on.
and error. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Why did you start your podcast? Like, tell me how you got into that. And
My most recent podcast. I'm a podcast girl. I think I'm on my third or fourth podcast. So let's hope that we stick to this one. But no, this one is called The Weekly with KiKi, and I was asked to be a part of one of Frederick's first podcast networks, which is pretty cool. I love what they're doing over there. It's called Could Be Better Meh Work. It's two guys, Colin and Chris and Frederick, who started this collective of local podcasts and people who they want to hear different perspectives and things like that. So my podcast is called The Weekly with KiKi. I will be discussing bullshit. I'm kidding. Not kidding. A little bit. A little bit of BS and just weekly pop culture and local updates and just having guests on and just having a good time. Nothing too high maintenance or too much pressure. So this is a fun one this time around.
I can understand pressure, girl, because you know what? A lot of people are definitely when it comes to pressure, what they say, pressure bust a pipe and make a diamond. Yep. It can bust a pipe and make a diamond. And I think in 2023, pressure is so overrated.
It is. It is. Like, let's work smarter, not harder.
And tell me, what is your biggest accomplishments when you started your podcast? What was your biggest accomplishment on your podcast and your blog? I was told you have a podcast also, and I did listen to it earlier.
Yeah,
today.
it just started. The first episode debuted the beginning of this year, so it kind of stems from Out40. Out40 Media is kind of a part of it, and that's my baby. We've been going on. This will be our 10th year now. And Out40 represents the underrepresented communities in Frederick. That's why we exist. That's why we started. We started back in 2012, 2011, 2012, 20. Yeah. Officially launched in 2013. Started off as a magazine. I was a magazine girl growing up. My father had all these subscriptions to all the black magazines, Jet, Ebony, Essence. He used to make me read them and write essays and all that good stuff. That's how I grew up. So I just loved magazines, and I always wanted one. I thought that was it. I created a business plan in my marketing class at CTC in Frederick. I had the dream. And then when I became of age, magazines kind of were like dwindling out of style, and technology was on the rise. So I was like, okay, this is not got to shift dreams here, but I still did it for a few years. It was a digital magazine, covered artists, business owners, and just regular day in the life, Frederictonians, societal issues, all those things. Then I switched it to a blog, which was more digestible for the current market and our people and the youth and, how people access information these days. So we've been
I'm glad that I remember reading Jet magazine, but the page I would go to was like the beauty page, like the person that was gonna get like
Beauty of the Week.
Like the Beauty of the Week. I would always skip to that page and be like, "Who's the Beauty of the Week?
Who she is?" Right. That's a fact. That is a memorable.
And so I was just like, I want to see. So that's what I went to, right? So you mentioned that you started on 40.
Yeah.
I know you were. I've heard that you were born and raised in Frederick.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And were you born and raised in the Golden Mile? Is that
I was. I'm born and raised on the West Side.
So that is. I love that the fact that you were born and raised in Frederick, but you were born and raised off of 40, and that you can give the West Side is the best. I think the West Side is the best side in a lot of cities. It's the best side in a lot of cities, and I will say that Frederick Golden Mile has gotten a lot of attention in the past 8 years, especially with politically. And we've had some things happen in the last election that you probably felt some type of way about that with 40. We're not going to touch on it. We ain't going to touch on it. But it's 2023, so I'm going to touch on it just a little bit.
Oh, God, here she goes. Here goes Tara. You knew she was
just a little, Dad. So, we want to say that, political, candidates have used 40 as their platform.
Sure.
I don't know if that's always fair, because it's like you use it as your platform, and then when you leave, when you get elected, you forget about 40, right? We have the West Side Library that has been an issue. We've had the parks that have been an issue. We have had schools that need to be renovated, improved. Yep. Hillcrest needs to be definitely renovated. But you have the Butterfly Ridge that they have done in Waverly. They have it's a beautiful school now. But let me ask you. What's the directions that elected officials should make a positive impact on the business in Golden Mile? Let's talk about the businesses, because that's what is Golden Mile is the heart of Frederick.
So you can't say that too loud, Terrell. You're saying it too loud. They're not ready for that.
Am I? Do I need to
They're not ready for that one. I think that
it is the heart of Frederick. Tell me what you feel like elected officials should do to support businesses in off of 40.
I understand that every city has a beloved downtown, and that most cities have downtown partnerships and all these resources and initiatives to help them build and grow. Mm-hmm. But Frederick is not like every other city. Our West Side is probably the most populated and or diverse side of the town, with a lot to offer. And we haven't been given the same type of resources, or I don't know. We've been given the wrong attention. And as you said, there has been some improvements in the last decade or so, but not much to me. I think that those same resources, yes, of course, downtown partnerships exist and those type of things, but those same type of collectives need to be brought to the West Side. There's so many businesses that deserve to be a part of something, that need that support, that need that community. And I do want to credit Golden Mile Alliance for the work they have done, but that's not an official government-funded type of effort. You know what I mean? I think it needs to be more intentional in that regard. I love seeing the new businesses that are popping up on 40. I see a new one almost every month. But I think that more organized support needs to come around and help these business owners. For instance, even for people who are interested in finding leasing space, let it be more publicized. Maybe a community building type of itinerary for business owners and their customers, so everyone can kind of get to know who's who and work together and connect. Those different type of things that happen downtown don't really happen on 40. For instance, even when I had 40 Fest, it was difficult trying to rally 40 businesses. You know what I mean? They're not used to they're not used to those type of opportunities. Really, they're not. They're like, what's happening by the mall? Like, they're not used to any type of collaborative efforts to help them, get that kind of exposure. So yeah, I think that work needs to be done. I'm liking what I'm seeing, but work definitely needs to be done.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up the 40 Fest. And I did send you a message. Look at your messenger real quick. I sent you a messenger. So I'm glad you mentioned the 40 Fest. And you had local artists there.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, Desiree Tucker, did.
Yes, Desiree was there supporting a vendor, selling her wraps.
Shout out to Desiree Tucker.
That's my girl.
And she's going to get me because of this video. Shout out to Desiree Tucker. Yeah, but she did an amazing article on the 40 Fest. And I will agree with you that people say they support Golden Mile, but they don't pour into Golden Mile as much as they should and they could. And so that 40 Fest was an example. I mean, if you were to take that same festival and put it downtown or put it on the at the fairgrounds, you might have gotten a lot of attention. But because it was on 40, you didn't. I feel like there was not as much of support that should have been, right? And we need to start pouring into events like yours. Like if you took that same event and put it in like DC,
right,
PG County, that just would have been packed
out.
You know, like, and I know that there's enough African American and minority people in Frederick, because when I seen that march down in downtown, when I seen the Elks
parade,
yeah. When I was like, where?
We here, but where? Where?
So I know they exist.
Right.
My point is, if we can support those same things in downtown area, we should support the same thing in 40. So your 40 festival is something that I feel like I hope that you will do again, and that we give you more support on that. Did you find it hard for artists, complicating to get artists involved and gain traction in the music industry in Frederick? And what would you have done differently to be more successful?
Can I just say thank you again to Desiree Tucker for writing that article? She didn't get enough credit for that. And I really believe she was the reason for more exposure for that. So thank you, Desiree. Artists, one of Frederick artists' biggest gripe, Frederick Black artists, biggest gripe, or hip hop artists, however you want to categorize it, which are majority Black, is there's not enough space. There are not enough welcoming spaces in Frederick to perform, and there's just not enough exposure. Frederick it's not a hip hop friendly town. It's not. They do not like hip hop. We've been struggling getting hip hop in various venues forever. You can ask any rapper who's been doing this for a long time. That is their biggest gripe, and so they have to always go elsewhere to get love, or to get to participate in events, or to find things to do, or work on their craft. And that shouldn't be it. They should have places here in their hometown where they feel like it's home, and they can work on their music and gain that fan base and work towards whatever it is their goal is. Music industry in Frederick, that's an interesting that's an interesting way to describe it. There are so many artists here. Frederick is an arts town. We say that a lot, but there are a lot of Black artists in Frederick. There was at one point there were over 100 rappers. I made a list. But since many have since moved because of those reasons, for more opportunity and just a more welcoming and warm space. So yeah, that's their biggest concern, and that has been at the forefront of what I do, what Out40 does, and trying to actually build, connect those bridges with other organizations. Like, for instance, Frederick Arts Council, they've been making a very intentional effort trying to get more hip hop incorporate more hip hop into their sphere, which I respect, and I'm there to assist. As far as what Out40 does, we want to be a platform, but we can't be the only platform, And for a while, we were the only platform. Yeah, a lot of people hopped on later on, but let's let it not be a bandwagoning position. Let it be intentional. Let it be, genuine, and let it be actually like progressive. Let's actually make some moves here.
And I think the bandwagon word is the perfect word.
Girl,
to use.
Don't get me started. Because 2020 in Frederick was different. Like when the whole George Floyd, 2020 in Frederick was so much bandwagoning. I said, what is happening?
Bandwagoning to the 10th power.
And then it kind
of like
it dwindled.
Disappeared.
It dwindled.
It disappeared like a bad trend.
The whole support Black-owned businesses, that was a huge wave in Frederick. And I'm like, this is great.
We felt hopeful.
We did.
But then let's be honest, we all knew what happened.
We knew.
With that, right? It's kind of like, Oh, it's the hashtag.
It's the hashtag club.
Yeah, it's the hashtag club. And I think that Frederick needs to stop doing the hashtag. And we need to stop using the word diversity. We need to stop using the word inclusion. We need to stop using all those hashtag words and really do the work. And those golden mouth flags that they put on those polls and make it seem like, oh, we're so invested, but you're not invested, okay? And we need to do better with that. Now, let's talk about not only do we, when we talk about the golden mile, I took a picture, a selfie with the young lady that owns the beauty supply store
in Hillcrest.
In Hillcrest,
yes, LB, I believe it's called LBB.
Yeah, and we have the cupcake shop.
Yes, cupcake shop in Hillcrest for the Love of Sweets.
Yep.
Yes.
Those are all Black women.
Yes.
And Black, and it is January and February. I am supporting all Black-owned businesses, Black activists on my show, and Black women are making a huge stride in our community. But I feel like we're still here. We should be here. And how do you feel? Do you feel that there's a lack of support for the Black women in Frederick community?
I can't really say there's some type of specific support in the city by anybody in a position of power, but I will say that Black women have supported ourselves in the city in a magical way. When I was growing up and I was getting in trouble, almost veering off the wrong path, my daddy took my ass to the Negro Business and Professional Women's Club. And he got me involved. I love those ladies. The ladies in red.
Shout out to Boy.
Yes. Yes. And that changed my life. I think there are great organizations and associations here in Frederick for Black women in business, professional Black women, entrepreneurial Black women. But as far as an organized type of support from the city of Frederick, I don't see that. And I don't know if that is something even on their radar. I would love to see more support for us. There was a time when, and it may be because of the aging demographic, but there was a time when Black women in Frederick were on top of things. I'm not saying they aren't today, but it was just such a bigger influence back when I was coming up that doesn't exist much today. So we definitely got to get that back.
Now, you say they're not on the radar. What do you mean by we need to get back to that? Like, where did we lose that?
I don't think it was us. I think we've been doing what we've been doing. I think that, I think, oh Lord, is the support real?
Like, this is
you gotta get me in trouble. Is the support real?
Get you in trouble. What I'm trying to do is get people to see like what needs to be done, right?
Absolutely.
I think, KiKi, let's be honest. Like, we have these discussions
all the time,
and we kind of like tiptoe around the real elephant in the room. Why? Because we want to make people comfortable.
Of course.
Or we don't want to lose an audience.
Right.
Or we don't want to be looked at as the angry Black woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or the controversial Black woman.
You know what? And I can speak to that because through Out40, in the articles and content that I've written, I've been called an extremist. I've been called biased. I've been called a disruptor. I've been called, all types of things when I'm trying to be a voice for us, and I take that with pride. I take that with pride. A lot of things wouldn't be on the radar if they weren't discussed and conversed about. So that's what I'm here for. When I say not on their radar, I just don't think they care. I just don't think they care. I think that we are
when
on
you
the
say
lower
they,
level of priorities.
who do you mean? When you say they, who is they?
They, as in the city of Frederick government institution, as an entity, as or things like the Downtown Frederick Partnership, or just those entities that exist that are supposed to support everyone, or the the economic development downtown, office downtown, just those entities that should have initiatives in place, and some of them do. But how effective are they? How wide is their reach? Do
you think that we need to be more vocal collectively?
I think, yeah, that's always important. Absolutely. That's always important.
Because I know me personally, I love what you said. Like, I know that we always try to not name drop certain agencies. Like, we are feeling left out the circle, but I think it's time that we do name drop.
Yeah.
It's 2023. We have watched an election go by where we had minority women on the ballot that got looked over. We've had, the same individuals in the spotlight. Right. And there is some amazing Black women I have met through my journey that I feel like can make a huge impact.
Including yourself, yes.
Oh, thank you, KiKi. And I think that they don't want those people at the table because they'll disrupt the normal Frederick. And Frederick is not normal anymore. Whatever that normal looks like.
I was about to say, what is the normal? Because does the normal include us? It might.
Exactly.
On some days.
That right there. That right there. Like that right there. What does that normal look like to them, right? So if that normal doesn't include the quiet Black woman that, just plays by the rules to get where she needs to get, is that the woman you want? Or you want somebody like me or yourself to say, enough is enough, we need to make change, right? So I'm glad that you have said it, that we have it. We need to do better. We need to do better. I'm glad you said that people need to make us included. They need to include us. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I think it's a team effort. I blasted the Chamber of Commerce years ago about their lack of diversity in their programs, and I know they have, the minority business program and all that, but it's like, I need more.
What are you doing with that?
I think,
like, what are they doing with that? Or is it? I always see the ribbon cutting for minority business. Stop.
Lord. Well, it's a network. I'm not sure. Listen.
I love the ribbon cutting.
I think that
they're cute.
Very cute. I've always felt like an outcast in those spaces because I feel like we're not really being genuine here. What are we really talking about here? I don't want to be the angry Black woman all the time, so I'm going to just avoid it. Just, that's been me. Like, I'll work the room some days, but most days I'm not going to be there. Because I
don't think that that's, let me let the audience know, if we say something, it's not because we're angry. Right. It's because it needs to change. Right. If we confront an issue, it's not because we are being controversial. It needs to change. If you have a white man in a suit that can flip a table and say, this is not acceptable, will he be the angry white man? Or will he be a man with power? Will he be a man that does not tolerate the mediocrity?
A man of principle.
A man of principle.
Yes.
But when a Black woman does it, oh, how dare you, little Black girl.
Right.
You get temper tantrum. I think that that's something that needs to be changed.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to have the discussion, but I'm going to have the discussion on my platform. And I'm glad that KiKi has said that. Like, she has said, you said, like, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to elect any Black woman. That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
because when you've been that so many times, when people misread you so many times, it's like, okay, maybe I should just stay in my corner and do what I do, try to reach my audience as best way I can, and hopefully it reaches the masses. And sometimes it has. The Chamber of Commerce responded. They responded to the article. They said they'll do better.
You have a lot of viewers on your Facebook page, so it has.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Hey, y'all.
I'll try to get that 1.K.
Yes, it's coming for sure.
So I agree with you. I know that I want to make sure that me, you, and other Black women that are so unapologetically vocal make waves in Frederick. Not just good waves,
Right.
effective and positive waves,
Right.
good trouble. You know what I mean? To move that needle, because we have so many things that are happening in Frederick that we need to have a seat at the table. When we talk about the seat at the table, you wrote an article about voters. You spoke about voting, and voter education is so important.
Oh, yes.
How do you use your platform and your voice to focus on voting?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
How do you use your platform and what's important in your thoughts? What we should increase the voting? How do you use your platform?
I always say I should do better with that. But voting is something I always like to seize the moment and engage my followers with, because I have a young demographic. And I thank God that this past election we showed out, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that every time there's an election of some sort, I like to give people as much information as possible and let them be educated voters. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. Just here for you to be educated. Let you know whose side, what does Jessica Fitzwater stand for? What does Cavante Duckett stand for? What does Terrell Thrasher stand for? That's my job, to show the good and bad. And hopefully I do a good job of that. I do need some improvement, but Out40 is working on that. But yeah, we definitely like to engage around voting, letting them know where they can vote, giving them, just the information on various candidates repeatedly. Because I know my demographic, we need that constant consumption of that. Young people vote, but we say, get somebody else to do it. Sometimes we're like, we'll lay in bed, we got it, but you need those daily reminders during those peak seasons of election time to, just engage people and force them. Hopefully I forced a couple with my posts and pushes.
So 40 is actually the most diverse district in Frederick City.
Yes, tell them.
Yeah. It is the most diverse, and I don't think 40 understands how powerful they are when it comes to
we
voting.
don't.
And you said your people in 40, you mentioned that. I know when I was campaigning and knocking on doors and seeing how I didn't realize how diverse it was. I started knocking on doors. Why do you think people in 40, and what should we do? Why do you think they're not getting out to vote? One, and how can we increase that? Two.
I think access, one, and just information, being aware. I don't want. I'm thinking about what I don't want to say it, but
say it.
No, let me say it in a different way. Actually, 40 is a very pedestrian friendly area. We are. I think we're the most walkable area in the city. With that being said, we need to incorporate different services to maybe take people to the polls. Maybe a busing service, maybe a van, maybe or working with the varying schools around. How about the local school crossing guard? You stay with school crossing. We have to get creative, because our people on that side are creative. They don't live, they're out and about, they're bustling, they're working jobs, and we're just a different area of town. We're not the sit still rest of Frederick. We are the hustling and bustling side of Frederick. So we need those reminders. We need assistance. And just that constant reinforcement. We can get creative if we think about it. Reinforcement. Yeah.
The constant reinforcement. That's the key word.
Yeah, there. For sure.
Yeah. Like going into that area for 6 months is not it. Like,
and you can speak to that.
It's not it. You gotta start early. And you gotta it's gotta be consistent. And I think that I love 40. Yeah. And I love that's my favorite part of Frederick is 40, because I get everything. And the West Side is the best side. So I think that's, like I said, in most cities, that is probably the best side. A lot of cities, it's the West Side. And I would love to know what you think we could do better to improve 40.
So many things.
All around when it comes to housing.
So many things.
First.
I can make a list. So yeah, when it comes to housing, we are considered, what are we considered? The poverty stricken area. Even though that may or may not be correct. I think that planning for housing, and I'm seeing it, more development for housing, safer neighborhoods, affordable housing, but right now it's just the times we're in. That kind of seems impossible. Strangely enough, I want to see more entertainment spaces on 40. The entertainment doesn't always have to be downtown. There are people on 40 who want to. That's why I love that they brought the movies back, because the Hoyts that used to be there. I grew up to the Hoyt Cinema. You know what I mean? We used to walk to the Hoyt Cinema, every weekend. But that was a thing to do. Revitalizing the mall, putting pressure on the owner to revitalize the mall and get tenants. That kind of economic development that will, serve our community. Strangely enough, I want to bring more street art. I'm on the Public Art Commission, and that was one of the things we talked about. And here I was coming in like, y'all neglect the 40. Y'all don't have no art on 40. All the art is downtown. And they're like, ma'am, all of 40 is private. There's hardly any city property for us to put art. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. My bad. I'll take it back. So I would love to see more owners own their properties and revitalize it. Put some art up. Make it more. Just a more entertaining and more welcoming space. More community building type of events. I would task Golden Mile Alliance with that. Reach out to the different neighborhoods and residents. Elma Terrace, Hawthorne Square. Those type of things. Tasker's Chance. Reach out and see if there can be some type of community event on 40, because there hasn't been any since 40 Fest, and before that, it was the carnival when I was growing up in the 90s. So
you just educated me on something. I did not know that most of 40 was privately owned.
I learned that too.
I didn't know.
Sometimes I jump ahead of the gun and I learn things. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's something that we might need to look and change.
Yeah.
Because making it more city owned and instead of private, because then that does create a lot of barriers.
It does.
And so I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that your music fest was something that was, never.
Honestly, aside from the annual car show, of course, that's if you're into cars, 40 doesn't really have those type of things that other parts of town have. And we used to have them.
And that's really sad. That's really sad for people to be like, oh, 40 is so hard in Frederick and so, but then we don't even do anything.
We don't.
In
we
40
we can. We can do it,
And we can do it. We can do it. And I think there's a lot of businesses on 40 that will support it. Because one, it brings them business.
Absolutely.
So we have to think outside the box on that. And how do you feel about, so you said that 40 is a lot of poverty in that area.
I haven't done my research. I haven't done my journalistic research on that, but that is what that's the name they give us, so I'm not going to say that I'm sold on it, because they've given us a couple names that have been proven to be wrong. So
yeah. So if that's the case, then why does it have a lot of government programs and things like that?
Oh,
tell me that.
Speaking of, I want to mention something before I forget. I got a call from Sebastian, who works at the local ACLU.
Yep.
And they're having, Carolyn, you can speak on that. They're having the forum on the 25th of January at Waverly for the new library.
The new library.
You don't understand how excited when I read that in the paper. I said,
have you heard about the new library?
I've read the articles. I haven't, that's all I heard. I haven't heard much, but I'm excited.
I'm excited about the new library. I do know that I will say publicly, I want them to think big.
Yeah.
Like think big on that one, right?
They have to. It's a populated area. I mean, please.
It's a populated area. Think big on that and don't let them give you crumbs on that one. Because it can happen. They can just give you a library and be like,
here you go.
Here's a library.
Yeah. You asked for it. You've been begging. Here it is.
That's what you asked for, so that's what you're getting. So, and we want, and you said, and you mentioned that 40 is a lot of people walk.
Thank you. Yes.
They don't, there's a lot of thought that has to go into this library of the location,
accessibility,
how people can get there, and people that live in the Waverly School area, how can they get there? So there's a lot of moving parts that needs to happen with this, and I hope that they take their time to make sure it's right and not just rush it, because it's a library that's needed, but I want them to be very strategic about how they do everything so everybody can get the use out of the library as they should.
Absolutely. I hope so.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. So you guys, please come to that forum.
7 p.m.
And what did you say?
25th at Waverly. Please, we got to represent.
25th at Waverly at 7 p.m. Please come out and support that forum because it's really important. And ACLU and RISE, they have been very...
shout out to them.
They've been a big advocate about getting this library.
Seriously,
out
I'm sure they've been pushing the needle. Shout out to them.
They've been working hard. And so let me ask you a question. I have my new website that I put up, and I haven't posted it yet because I want your quote to be on that website. And I want everybody, all my guests, I'm going to ask them a question, and those quotes and the answer to that question is going to appear on the website actually. And so, tell me a life lesson that you can share with the audience to your success, and one quote that you hold near and dear to yourself.
What do you call success? Just kidding.
Just kidding. Let's be honest, KiKi. People are calling you now because I've heard a lot of people go, can I get in touch with KiKi? I'm not going to say their names, but they've been trying to get
Please,
so
please,
I feel very honored that I got you on my platform first.
Are you kidding? Any day of the week you can have. Okay, anyway. So, do you know who Janae Aiko is?
Yes.
Strangely, I'm not even a big fan of her. One of my best friends is a huge fan of her for 10 plus years since she was with B2K. B2K
really?
Is my generation. I'm like,
yes.
Whatever. 10 years later, we didn't see her for 10 years. 10 years later, she pops up and she's like this big artist. She's selling records. And I'm like, I haven't seen Janae Aiko in 10 years. I thought she had fallen off. I thought she quit.
Fallen off.
She came and said, I've been working. I've been songwriting, just waiting for my opportunity, putting in the work. And I never thought I would take a lesson from Janae Aiko to realize that it's going to take some years for an overnight success. It might look overnight, but it's going to take years. Watching a recent interview podcast with another artist, a celebrity artist named PJ Morton, he could, confirm that, you could at least put in 10 years of work. If it's really a dream, just go ahead and tuck 10 years away. Just off the rip. Some people get lucky. Some people get lucky and, they get success much faster than that. But on average, you have to put in that work. And it took me a while to understand that and accept that, realize that. Because I'm like, I'm doing Out40. Of course, I'm doing it for my people and I'm doing it for my community. But I didn't see a profit, Yes, I'm left brain and right brain. I'm business and I'm arts, but I would like to make a profit. And just a little bit as an entrepreneur,
We got to talk about that on the.
Okay. So that was a struggle for me, and then realizing, okay, this is just a journey. This is just a hustle. This is it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, then I can do that. I can do that. So for anybody who's really chasing a dream, and this is like your baby, this has been your calling. You've been dreaming about it. Put in the work. Put in the work. It's gonna take some time. You asking me about a quote?
Yep. What's your quote that you hold near and dear to you? Do you have one?
I have a few quotes, but I can never think of them when I'm called out like this. This is crazy. But one quote I use often is, the wound is never your fault. The healing is your responsibility. I use that a lot because a lot of us are operating out of pain. We could talk business, we could talk politics, we could talk, but as humans, a lot of us are operating out of pain, daily. And it's okay to do that, but at some point, we got to seek some healing. And what does that look like? What does that feel like? And what that journey is up to you. But operating out of pain can only work but so much. I was that girl. As a writer, as a poet, I was that girl. Pain, yeah, okay. I can, consume it. I can digest it. I can give it back to you. Well, and then I grew up and realized that, some healing was necessary to empower me and to move me and to make me who the woman I am today. So
that's good. That's a good one. Let me tell you. So I'm going to say the first one that you said, you got to put in the work, right? So you use one person, and a lot of people are probably going to slap me in my face when I say his name. But I watched the Kardashians, right?
You just never know where you're going to get it from, okay? Go ahead.
And people be like, wait, why would you use Kardashians? Like, she was like, and she got thrown in the mud for this comment. The same comment you made. If you want something, you better work.
Yes, you did make that comment. You got to work.
And you just said a young lady that, today Anika, she was in the game.
She was working.
She had to work. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're at in the status. To make money, to make your dream come true, you gotta work. It doesn't matter who your parents are. You still gotta work because they gotta buy in to get your.
And you gotta
buy in.
Like, you gotta buy into yourself too. Like, what is your routine and your habits?
Because there's a lot of celebrities. There's a lot of people that have put stuff out there and nobody buys in. You have to work to make people buy in, and that is so important. So I agree with you. You have to work. And
can I just say, Carolyn works, okay? I've seen her sweating in the sun many days. I just want to say.
Girl, you don't understand. Like, I still gotta work. And I will say that I don't toot my own horn.
You don't.
But girl, in 2023, I'm about to toot it.
Yes.
And I also like your quote about the pain and it's true. I think a lot of people, to go through something, to get somewhere, you gotta go through something. And that is what pushes us. And I so appreciate that quote, and I'm definitely gonna put it on my website and do that thing. KiKi, through all the technical issues.
Listen, I can't say a word.
I would not want to deal with anybody but you.
Yes.
You know the struggle, and I am so honored to have you on my platform, the first show of the year, and it's an honor. And you are doing great things in our community. I will continue to support you however I can. We're gonna have to definitely collaborate a little bit more behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, or whatever, because I want to see your whatever vision you have for 40 grow, and that's important. And we need to support each other as sisters, as Black women, as entrepreneurs, as community leaders. We need to support each other moving forward because it's all the powers in numbers.
Absolutely.
And I think you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you, Carolyn.
I think you're doing an amazing job.
I want to say that since we met, you have been so genuine and supportive and real. And I just want to say thank you for that. I wish I would have met you sooner. Frederick is changing to me. And I feel like there's so many powerhouses now coming out that are just killing. And I'm just like, where y'all been? I haven't paid attention. Please, like, we have to collab and just continue working. Like, thank you so much for asking me to be on. Your platform is you have crazy support because you're always doing great things. And I'm just grateful that you asked me to be on. Thank you.
Thank you. I had fun.
This was great.
This is good. And hopefully we can I can improve this. These are a new platform.
Listen, we got through it. That's all that matters.
It's like if it's not broke, don't fix it. And
we just like a tweak, you know.
But I will figure it out. So, but thank you so much. God bless you, and many, 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 many blessings and success this year for you. And girl, we need to do dinner.
Y'all heard what she said. She said she owes me dinner, so make sure y'all hold her to that.
I owe you dinner, and we're gonna do that.
Okay, all right.
Girl, put it in the books.
I shall.
Love you, KiKi. Thank you so